This program is sponsored by Macura College of the Holy Family, Parramatta.
Welcome to Educating for Success, filmed right here at Macura College of the Holy Family. My name is Sister Margaret, the principal of the college, and we have two special guests today. In the studio, we have Miss Rose Macura. Welcome, Rose.
Thank you, Sister.
We have Miss Charlene Kazzi. Welcome, Charlene.
Thank you, Sister.
Both staff members work with the special ed division, so we're going to talk today a bit about how do we help those students that need a bit of extra help, and also those students who are very talented, how can we extend them as well? So, Rose, do you want to explain a bit about your role at the college?
Well, I'm the Special Education Coordinator at the college, and I try to facilitate the learning, mostly of the special needs students. I work closely with the teachers. I work with the students in the classroom a lot. I meet with the parents often to discuss their children's progress and to plan for them. But mainly it's collaborating with the teachers to try and plan what's best for the children.
When you say special ed students, how do we categorise them? Who is considered special ed?
Okay, these students are the students who have special learning needs. They've got learning disabilities or learning problems, and they need that bit of extra attention in class. So we try to help the teachers give them that extra attention, or we work with these children in class. Sometimes we take them out, do extra work with them, or revise things with them to help them understand more.
Okay. Charlene, what do you do with these students?
I take them out of the classroom and I work one-by-one with them, and I monitor their progress and read with them to see how they're going, as well as help them with assessment tasks. Scaffold for them assessment tasks, break it down for them to make it easier for them to complete. I'll also go inside the classrooms, and that's when I help the teacher and assist the teacher, as well as the students in groups to complete activities.
How do you assess if a student has learning needs, and how do you assess their progress?
So assessing their learning needs, we rely a lot on the information we get from the primary teachers. If they're a student with high needs, we use intellectual testing, and that gives us an idea of where they're at. I give them a reading test as well, and that tells me their strengths and weaknesses in reading, because usually that's an area that's very weak, and that helps us devise a plan and gives us focus on what to help them with most of all. Assessing them with exams doesn't really work for special ed students, so we look at their strengths and we look at their small things that they do. Sometimes it's something as simple as answering a question in class. That's a big step forward for some of these students.
Okay, so that's some of the ways you assess their progress. Are there any other ways you assess their progress? Or
a lot of it's observation, a lot of it's we just keep track. Lots of monitoring of what they do, asking the teachers constantly, how are they progressing, what do they need, how can we help them further? Because the teachers work with them more than we do.
Charlene, you're in the class quite often, or you're taking the students out. Yeah. How do they respond to you? Are they happy to have this extra help, or do they feel embarrassed, or what's the response?
They're actually very comfortable, and they always come, whether I'm not with them, they always ask me in the playground, Miss, when are you coming next? So they actually really enjoy this, and they feel very comfortable working one by one or in groups, in small groups, and that way they can open up and build some confidence.
So you actually have small groups?
Sometimes,
well?
yeah.
We focus on confidence building, and they feel comfortable. They know they'll succeed if they come to us.
Okay. What are some of the success stories or instances you can tell us of?
Well, Rose actually told me that happened 2 weeks ago or last week. They're doing Macbeth, some of the students. So the best thing about Macbeth is they didn't understand it, two of the students.
Well, I don't think anyone understands Macbeth.
So we showed them a YouTube clip, and it actually got them to understand they knew the whole story, and from there, from using iPads and YouTube clips, so visual learning, it's very important.
Okay, talking about those techniques, IT, visual learning, can you name some of those that you actually used?
Oh, well, the special ed department has 25 iPads, and the teachers are using those constantly with the special needs students mainly, and it's just a different way of learning. Sometimes just reading a book doesn't go in, especially for children with reading disabilities. So to have an iPad tell them the story or show them the story or give them that information is so rewarding for them, and it encourages them. They love using the iPads.
Also, I'm using Moodle with the online learning. So there's some space, like for example, opening up forums and workshops and having questions for them to answer, like multiple choice questions. It's easier for them and they enjoy that.
Okay.
So doing things online, basically.
Yeah, they like to do these
Hands-on.
things. Definitely. Hands-on all the time, all the time.
Now, you have started in Year 9 and 10, what is it, work education. Work education.
Yes.
That was probably for some of those weaker students. Do you want to talk a bit about what that's about?
It's a fantastic unit. We're still learning. It's the first time we've introduced it. The boys have just come back from their work experience, and they did work experience outside of the school this time, so it was very exciting for them. They all loved it. The units themselves are a bit repetitive, but there's lots of information there that will help them when they go into their future life, which will be in the workplace. So it's really useful for them. They're going to do their first aid certificate soon. So it's very practical, a lot of discussion, no exams. They like the fact that there's no exams. They do assessment tasks, but we do a lot of it together in class. And it's very informal. It's a small group, so it's very informal, very relaxed. They enjoy it, and it builds their confidence.
Yep. Now, in the past, you worked in primary. Was that also in special ed area? Or?
Yes, for 5 years, 6 years in special ed there.
So do you want to say a few things that's probably done in primary or what?
Well, it's good that I did work in the primary, because now I can see the progression of the students into the secondary, and there's continuum for them. It doesn't just end at the end of primary that they get this support and they get this help in special needs. So it's a good thing that that we're in the high school, continuing that support for them, because they do need it. And it's very similar in the primary. They do much the same. They go into the classroom, support the students in class, support the teachers, develop scaffolds for the students to follow, and this helps them a lot.
How well do you think the teachers cater to mixed student abilities in class?
Some teachers are better than others. Most of them are brilliant.
Okay.
Most of them are fantastic.
Yeah, they work well together with us, so we speak to them and they actually adjust for the students' tasks, which is really good, and adapt the lessons for them.
Okay.
When they're with the children more than we are. Yeah, we can't go to every child every day, every lesson. So they really cope very well, because quite often they have a broad spectrum of students in their class, and they differentiate the curriculum to make sure that every child in their class is catered for.
All right. Well, you hear the term differentiate quite a bit. Can we explain to our viewers exactly what do we mean by differentiating in a classroom setting?
Okay, so differentiation in the classroom is the ability of the teacher really to adapt their program to every child's ability level. So they're catering for the children at the very top end of their group and the children at the bottom end of their group. So they've got to be totally organised, they have to plan, and they have to have different activities ready for those different groups in their class. And some of our teachers, or most of our teachers, do that very, very well.
Which is good to hear. Even assessments need to be adapted for the special needs students?
Assessments are. The teachers negotiate with the students. When an assessment is given out, those children who have special needs, they'll say to them, okay, here's the assessment, how much of this can you do, or how much do you think you're comfortable with? And then the teacher will say, well, I think that you should do this much. And so they might not do the whole assessment, or they might do it in a different way. And the teacher, of course, will provide a scaffold for them. If they don't, we do. And that just gives them the confidence to actually complete the assessment. If they're just given the same assessment as everyone else, quite often they don't even attempt it. So
when we talk about scaffold, another term for our viewers,
yes.
Do you want to explain what scaffold
so just
is?
breaking down certain questions into certain parts. For example, if you have to write an essay, introduction, body, conclusion. So what do you want actually in introduction? So questions, what's having introduction, questions on happening body, and
Yeah.
sources.
It's giving them a plan to
Giving them a
follow.
plan,
Yeah, a plan to follow so that they feel, and breaking it down into small parts so it's
step by
not so
step.
overwhelming. Yeah.
Okay, now I want to move on to the parents. Firstly, those who volunteer, and also, but before we talk about those who volunteer, how about the parents of those students?
Okay.
How are they supportive, and how can they assist their child at home?
They're fantastic. The parents who come up, we meet with them so often that we're quite friendly. Some of them are my best friends at the end of the year. We try to meet with them as much as possible. We have a formal meeting for the IEPs, for the individual plans, and that goes to the CEC. And then we have other meetings just to touch base on progress. Sometimes it's just a phone call. Sometimes it's a word in the playground. The parents are so appreciative of everything that we do. They're always happy that we're catering for their children to the best of our ability, and that's important to them. And they feel like their children are happy and safe and in a good learning environment.
What are some of the advice you give to parents about how they can assist their child at home?
Extra reading.
Yep.
Always.
So sitting down with them, helping them with homework, so breaking it down for them as well. And reading is very important. I think just reading.
Yeah,
Doing
reading.
that extra reading with them. Yeah.
But not just that, I try to get the parents to encourage the children to do a little bit of everything every night. So every night do a little bit of maths, a little bit of this, above and beyond their homework. Even the special needs students, they still need to practice in other subjects. The more practice they get, the better they get at things.
Okay, and then we also have volunteer parents. Do you want to explain what that's all about?
Oh, they're brilliant. We have mothers who come in to assist children with literacy. So they come in and they take children individually for 20 minutes and they do a comprehension passage with them. So they do reading aloud, discussion of the passage, and then actually answering questions to make sure the comprehension's good. And the mothers enjoy it as much as the students, and the students get so much out of it because it's another opportunity to learn. It's another opportunity to experience success. And the passages are at their level, so they do experience success. And the parents love it. They really enjoy it. I get a lot of good feedback from them.
And it helps the students build their confidence as well.
Definitely.
So being open.
Okay.
Yeah.
What are the rewards you get out of it? It's a hard job spending all your hours with the students that struggle with study. So how do you find it?
Oh, it's
embracing
brilliant.
the students' qualities and achieving their goals.
Yeah.
It's a really good thing. Like it makes us feel really proud of what we've achieved.
Even the small
encouraging
things,
them.
the small things that they achieve. For example, one boy will put up his hand in class now, or he'll initiate a conversation with the teacher, not always wait to be asked a question. These are miraculous advances for these children. I work with children one-to-one all day pretty much, and even in my lessons that I teach, they're the special ed children in there. So we're working virtually one-to-one with them as well. And them answering a question correctly is a huge thing. We try to build up their confidence, give them a lot of step-by-step instruction to help them build confidence. But I love my job. I love this work. And they show appreciation because they come knocking at the door. Miss, can you help me? Miss, I need something. They know who to go to. They know where their go-to people.
Talking about knocking on the door, it's not always the special ed students that knock on the door, is it?
No, not at all.
Any student that wants to.
Absolutely. Our door is open to all students, and quite often we have a long line of students who need that extra help. Because even the brighter students sometimes need something broken down, just a step-by-step, or just an encouraging word.
Maybe even the teachers need that too.
We do, and we do with each other as well. The teachers, we support each other so much, and we do encourage each other a lot, which is fantastic.
Okay, I think we're going to take a short break and then we'll come back and continue our discussion. Thank you.
Thank you.
This program is sponsored by Margaret College of the Holy Family, Parramatta.
welcome back to Educating for Success here at Macura College of the Holy Family. Our guest speakers, as you know, are Rose and Charlene, and we'll be discussing the students that need extra help in class. So we're going to continue our discussion on that. Questions aimed at both of you. What strategies do you use with these students?
Well, personally, I find that in the classroom, very explicit teaching methods work with these children. They get lost if everything's just thrown at them. So they need a slower pace, they need step-by-step instruction, they need lots and lots of revision, and we try to teach for mastery. So we might not do everything else that the other classes do, but what we do, we try to do well and develop their confidence in it. We try to give the children lots and lots of experiences that are successful. If they experience enough of success, that gives them confidence to do other things successfully. Do you agree?
Yeah, some strategies also include, instead of them copying out from the whiteboard, printing out a worksheet and having a closed passage for them to fill out a missing word. Okay. That will help them, as well as highlighting words for them in sentences. And also bringing in iPads in the classroom, letting them work and do their work on the iPads while the rest of the class writes, basically, because writing for them is very difficult.
Yeah. Thank goodness the college has a lot of technology available, and we use as much of that as possible into our lessons with them. The other thing is we adapt a lot of activities for them. As Charlene said, we'll photocopy and give them the notes rather than have them write laboriously, you know, because that takes so much time for them and it is physically draining for them. Sometimes often, if there's an exam, we'll go in and read the exam for them so that they can answer it. If they're struggling with reading the questions, they're not going to be able to answer. And a lot of them do have the answers. They just don't know how to put them down on paper so easily. And for the seniors as well, we provide special provisions for those kids who need the exams read or who need a separate supervision just to get them through their HSC and their senior exams as well.
Do they use a technique of buddying them up in class, say with one of the smarter kids who can help them in class?
Sometimes we do. Peer tutoring is really helpful, especially if the children aren't understanding their teacher. Sometimes hearing it from a buddy, it's easier to understand. But also that can work against them too. Sometimes it's a bit frustrating for the very bright children to always have this slow buddy that they have to guide through lessons. So we change it around a lot. Okay. Sometimes we use it, sometimes we don't. You've got to be very selective.
So that's why I know we can use that technique or the other techniques which we use in maths and English, where we divide the classes into the high ability students, average ability, and then there's that class who's the lower ability students. Is that a good idea?
I think that's a great idea, especially in technical subjects like maths and science, because they need that specific help. They need that concentrated help. And if a teacher has a class where she has really able students and these less able students, it's difficult to spread her attention to all. And I think, especially in maths, having that slow cast, you can go at a different pace. You can teach not as much of the curriculum, and you're able to do that with the special needs students, and you're able to teach for mastery, and you're able to revise and repeat. So I think it's a good thing for some subjects, not all subjects.
Do we ever get the instance where you've got a student, say in Year 7, who's special needs, and then by Year 10 they're independent learners, they don't need the special?
We have lots of instances of that. We've had some children who have been special needs children all through school, and then they get to HSC and they top a subject, or they get an outstanding mark, or they go on and they do amazing things outside the college.
So it's not something you're born and stuck with all your life?
Special needs children are always special needs. Their IQ doesn't change, but the
approach,
the approach they get, the intervention that we do will really lift them up sometimes, and you do see progress in them. You do see progress in them, and then of course there are some that very rarely progress, but they enjoy their time at school. They feel like they're a part of a community at school, and they're included in everything. I think inclusion is the most important thing. Even if they're not academically great, they'll be beautiful people, and that's what we aim for.
Maybe is there a bit of a concern with these students once they leave school? Are they able to cope out in the real world?
That's a big concern of ours. And we work together with the the vocational guidance counsellor, and we try to devise a pathway for these students so that when they do leave school, they've got something to go to. Sometimes it's for them to leave and go to TAFE. Sometimes it's for them to leave and go to
Workforce.
into the workforce.
Yeah.
And sometimes they end up in college, they end up in uni, and sometimes they end up in a really good job.
Yeah.
And that's fantastic too.
Now, most of our special needs students, more intellectual, cognitive type, do we have, but there's also like your physical.
Yes, we have a variety in the school. We have children with hearing impairments. We've had children with speech problems and language problems. We have children with physical disabilities who find it hard to get around the school, and we cater for all of those children. Some of them have individual people who help them walk around the college. We've installed lifts in the college to cater for the mobility. We do everything in our power to make sure that they're comfortable, safe and happy at school and learning.
And now, we have counsellors or psychologists. Do they help in any way?
Absolutely, absolutely. Do you want to talk
perform
about
assessments and tests for them to see how they're progressing, and from there we find out which ways to improve, what strategies to use in order to help them achieve their goals.
Yeah, with special needs, we're very collaborative. We have to work with the teachers, we have to work with the counsellors, we have to work with the vocational guidance, we have to work with you and the year coordinators, and then we've got the government departments and all their issues as well.
Okay, one more question in that area. Their peers, the other students in class, are these weaker students sometimes subjected to, mockery or being teased by the other students, or do the other students generally,
Occasionally you see that, but most of the time, because our college is such a wonderful family, and because the children they feel for each other, they love each other. A lot of them are related.
Yeah. They're always willing to help, I find, other students in the classroom.
Yeah, and they are.
System, which is really good.
I noticed that the other day I had to take a relief class, and it was the bottom class for art, and one of the students came up and said, what am I supposed to do now? And I asked the other students which sheet, and they said this one. He wasn't sure what to do. And I heard the other kids, they were actually patient and saying to him, oh, this is what you do, you copy it. And they were explaining the...
They are brilliant, brilliant. But that's part of the ethos of our school. And just the Maronite faith is inclusive. Our culture is inclusive. Lebanese people are the most hospitable, most inclusive people I know, and very accepting. Yeah. And our children are like that. They accept everybody. They show love to and it is love to everybody.
And food.
And yes, food. Of course, food is an important part of our culture.
Let's move on to another topic then. You're not only responsible for the special needs, you also run programs for gifted and talented, or what we call extension programs. Do you want to talk a bit about that?
Okay.
So it's about showcasing the students' talent. So those who are talented, and we assign them projects and mentors to work on. And you've actually completed one, haven't you?
I have, yes.
Do you want to discuss your one?
One was 2 years ago, was it?
For religion.
It was a couple of years ago, but it was very successful, sister.
Very successful and published.
All right, what happened there, as you said, you put out an email saying who would like to be a mentor for some students, and then teachers nominated students. And I put my hand up saying I'd like to do a project with some students who are interested in religion, being my area, of course. And we had I had most of them, I think, at the time were in year 10.
They were. And
there was only one or two students in year 8. And so we discussed what topic would interest them. And of course, everyone had a different topic. I said, look, let's do something together as a whole. And the best thing would be to do a survey, questionnaire of, what students' opinions are about, different topics in religion. So in a way, each one chose a topic they were interested in religion, and then they formed a questionnaire around those topics, went out, canvassed results, and then they put them together. And so we sat and tried to put a working paper together on, students' understanding or students' thoughts on different religious topics. So they used the results of the questionnaire to see what's the main response of students. We got a paper out of it that had about, 7, 8 areas of religion and how students respond to these questions. Wrote it up, sorted out, edited it, I did the editing, and then we sent it off to a journal to see if they would publish it. And luckily for us, they were interested, so the Compass Journal published our article. So we had about 6 students who came up on stage and received their first article ever published in a journal. So it was quite an achievement for them.
I know, it was fantastic. It really was beautiful.
They put their name in print somewhere.
And lots of teachers have done projects with the gifted children because we find that sometimes, because we do have a variety of children in the class, sometimes they get a bit bored, sometimes they get a bit disengaged and they need something to pick them up and to reward them for being so intelligent, you know. So the teachers actually nominate the students. It's not just for every student. The teachers pick out the ones, they nominate them, which is a great thing, and they feel good about that to start with. And then when they're with their mentor, they can choose what they'd like to do.
Right.
So sometimes it's something practical, sometimes it's something more academic. And we also have Maths Olympiad, we also have debating. There are lots of areas where they can show their talents, and it is enrichment for them. I know in art, for the 40th anniversary, Miss Sarlog had a project that quite a few children worked on with her, and she always has an art project that she does. And
food tech,
there's always something happening there. And because the children are nominated, they feel so great about doing these and they put their all into it. We're trying to get our enrichment program off the ground at the moment, and it's slow, but it's getting there. It's getting there.
And I remember there was one year we actually had parents coming in so that the students could present
showcase. They did
showcase their findings.
Hopefully we can do that again this year. Hopefully.
One more question, in talking about gifted and talented. Okay, we've got that project happening, but even in class, do teachers, you know, when they're preparing differentiating in class, are they extending the students that can be extended?
Absolutely. I see it every day. Every time I walk into a classroom, the teacher will be teaching the lesson. The more gifted children will have something that the teachers have already prepared, and they're working on with that because they're ahead of everybody else. The children who are at the other end of the scale, who need the extra help, they're getting the extra help as well. The teachers are very explicit, so they give the instructions to everyone, and then they've got things in place so that the really gifted ones can fly with that, and the other ones can get on with their work as well. I think they do a good job at both ends of the scale, both ends of the spectrum.
Okay, we're going to draw to a close. Anything you'd want to add to this episode?
I just think that, you know, we're an important part of the school. I feel that the teachers appreciate what we do, and I definitely know that the parents and the children appreciate what we do.
They're very supportive.
Yeah, and they show it to us every day, which is lovely.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. Thank you, Rose.
Thank you, sister.
And we'll see you next time on Educating for Success.